Good morning. I'm going to be working on this Schefflera Arboricola. The cultivar name is Mini, and it needs some work. It's quite pot bound, and it is early July, and I want to get it out of this pot so it has room to expand and grow. So that's what I'll be doing this morning. Alright, here I go. So I got this in 2022. And I did a big chop. You can see that right there, and because it was pretty tall, and it grows pretty well for me half the year, and then when it gets cold, it just shuts down. And it hasn't grown for months now, and I think part of the reason why it hasn't grown, it's pretty pot bound. So I'm going to get it out of this pot. But it is in here. There we go. So let's see, yeah, quite a few roots. It's quite full. And I spent last night. This tree's kind of puzzling me because I don't know what to do with it. I've had it at this kind of angled potting angle, and I haven't known. I have just kind of this main branch, this branch, and then the top, and it kind of branches out up top. But I'm not sure where I want to go with this tree. And so I spent. I mean, honestly, I spent a good 20 minutes just staring at it. Just flipping it around, changing planting angles, and I think I figured out what I want to do. What I want to do with it is, instead of having the planting angle like this, I'm going to tip it. And about here is the front that I'm thinking I want for the tree. So, tip it up like that. And the big thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off this branch. And then shorten everything. Because I want to keep this tree small. And I'll go ahead and I'm going to do that right now because I know I'm going to do it, and I'll show it in the camera. I'm going to take this branch off. And that's kind of what the tree will look like now with that branch taken off. So I'll clean that up a bit. And I debated whether to just have this be a really small, short tree, take all this off, take this off, and do a really mini type tree like that. And I might do that eventually, but you know, this has been healing over. I have this section up here which is a little straight, but it's pretty short. It's comparable to this length too. If this was much longer than this, it might look odd, but they're about the same length. And you know, rather than just drastically cut all this off, I'm not going to do that right now, because it's kind of like, why waste all this growth if it's fairly nice and kind of tapered too. It's a nice trunk line. So rather than cut it all off right now at this moment, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait. And you notice these leaves look terrible because it's really old growth. and I've been putting it in the sun now for a while, so it's got some scorch. It's just really old. It'll look great once it starts growing again. I get some new leaves this summer. And it's kind of weird, but I love, maybe not weird, I really like the way these things smell. It's this unique smell, or at least I just can't think of anything else that smells like it. I haven't heard anybody ever mention the smell of Schefflera when you cut into it. Oh, there's the drainage screen. Put that in that pot. Yeah, I really like this pot, but I'm not going to put it back in this pot. I'm going to put it in a pot that's a little bit shorter, but actually a little bit wider. Just a terracotta pot. I don't know what it is with me and tropicals. I guess I'm just not a tropical kind of guy. I don't particularly love this tree. And that's another reason why I thought of just keeping it small is, you know, I just don't want it to take up too much room. So yeah, one problem I see is when I tip the potting angle, I might have to take off this big, huge root. It's just going to stick up in the air. How much of this root is... Maybe I'll leave the root sticking up for now. That's a hard one. So it's a pretty big root. Now there's that Schefflera smell. I'm not sure. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I have this pretty well raked out. And now I'm going to prune the top, because I'm going to shorten all this too. So here we go on that. I'll at least prune it to here, but probably more. Yeah, I'm going to prune that even more. I'm going to prune this top. And prune this one. This one's kind of grown awkwardly back in, so I'm hoping if I prune I can get it to go back out. So there we go. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, like that. But do I want to take these branches even lower? I don't think so. I might clean these up a bit. Get that one grown in. So yeah, something like that. And maybe I will take off this root, because then that'll actually make this trunk section a little longer than this section. Because generally it just looks right to people, and I can't help but agree, is that your trunk curves get progressively shorter. So with this tree you can see long, a little bit shorter, and a little bit shorter. And maybe actually I'll take this off even lower. I think I will, to ensure that movement persists. So yeah, maybe we'll do that. And I don't know about, maybe I'll defoliate it actually, just get rid of all these leaves. I did that with my ficus, which that video hasn't come out yet, but it will here in a little bit. But my ficus microcarpa, I defoliated it completely, and it's budding out all over the place. So yeah, let's go and I'm gonna just do it. I'm chopping. I'm in a choppy mood. Once you start chopping, sometimes it's hard to stop. There goes. Root gone. That's pretty. Wonder if I could get something to grow out of that actually. Might just plant that as an experiment, see if that'll grow something, because it's kind of got a cool curve. So yeah, and now I'll make it so I can plant. Actually, that'll be perfect, so then I can change the potting angle. It won't stick up. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean my station up a little bit, workstation here, and I'll put this in a pot. Alright, so I'm gonna put in this pot about like so for the front. Let's put some soil in. And yeah, so in the future, I might lop all this top off and just have it and continue the trunk this way. I'll have good taper. But, you know, probably not. I'm probably gonna leave it. Well, let's see, what's the front? The front could be here, really. Or here where this scar, I guess I see this kind of as the front. About in there. But I'll give it a spin. And I'm gonna go ahead, these leaves look terrible. I think it'll grow out. I'm gonna go ahead and defoliate, get some fresh foliage on here. So now you can really see the structure of it. That's small and simple, and that's my goal for this tree, is just to keep it small. I mean, honestly, the finished height about what this is. And again, this straight section, I don't know if it bothers me, but it's pretty straight. But I don't know. We'll just see how it evolves. Sometimes it's hard to see what the tree's gonna look like in a few years. You just don't really know. I'm gonna finish by putting my slurry of sphagnum moss on the top, and I'll give it a good watering after this. And I didn't take off too many roots except for that big root. So I think it'll be fine with this defoliation. I don't think I've ever really defoliated it. I think some of those leaves were very, very old. They certainly look beat up and rough. So I think this will look really nice in hopefully a month. I'll get some new leaves growing. Give it a spin again. And that's that. So here it is 2 months later. It's early September right now, 2 months after that work. And for the longest time I thought I'd killed this tree because it wasn't doing anything for at least a month. And I thought I shouldn't have worked on the roots and cut all the leaves off at the same time. Should have staggered that work. So I thought I killed it. But as you can see now, it is not dead. So what happened is about a month after I did the work, I finally noticed some little buds emerging. But they didn't seem to be doing well. It's like they'd get going, but then they started to look diseased and blackened and sticky.
like the plant was being attacked by something, and I think it was. And then so finally it did get some new leaves to get going, and I noticed, looking really closely, this really fine webbing on the plant, which I'd never experienced it before myself, but had heard a lot about spider mites. And so I think this had spider mites. So to get rid of them, and I think it worked, because these new leaves are now doing much better, and I don't have all those diseased leaves. A lot of them are falling off now. I can't really, they're so small now, you can't really see them. But I got dish soap and water in a spray bottle, and used a ratio of 1 tablespoon of dish soap to 1 gallon of water. And I just did a quick search on the concentration. Sprayed down the plant and let sit for half an hour, and then washed it off. And I think that worked. I don't see more of that webbing, but I was surprised how fine it was. I mean, you can't see it from even a few feet away. I could not see the webbing. I had to look very closely to see it. So yeah, these mites are extremely small. So anyways, I think the plant I think it's gonna live. But yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done the top work and the root work at the same time. That was maybe a little bit, I was overly optimistic about how healthy the tree was, perhaps. I wasn't aware about the spider mites, or I weakened the tree so much that it became susceptible to the spider mites. I'm not sure which came first. But anyways, it worked, and yeah, looks like the tree is gonna do fine.